Hi, so welcome back to Real Auto Reports. Right here at a snowy Real Auto Ranch, we have the real first impressions video on this 2015 Lexus GX 460. And for 2015, we're going to talk about the whole new outside look on the front and rear, and of course give you the rest of our first impressions again on the vehicle. So let's jump in and see what's all new in 2015 for this GX 460 from Lexus. All right, so from the front on this 2015 Lexus GX 460, what you're going to notice is that from here back, so from the front lip of the hood back, has not really changed. What has changed is the spindle grille in this entire front fascia. So finally they've brought the GX 460 into the design language of the rest of the Lexus family. And this happened last model year in 2015. We looked at the 2013, which had the, well, to put it in the words of another automotive review publication, it had been beaten with the ugly stick. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it definitely was an older design language from Toyota, really, because this vehicle in other markets is the Land Cruiser Prado. So what we have now is a better looking, more in tune with the design Lexus GX 460. Notice the running lights that you would see in the drive up part of our video, and the headlights and all of that, the fog lights down here in the bottom. You have a lot of good looking features now added to a pretty capable off-road vehicle. Let's go take a look at the side. All right, so from the side, the biggest change that you're going to see here is how the rear taillights are integrated into the side of the body, because this is where the majority of the change was out back. But all in all, the rest of this should look pretty familiar from our 2013 review. Of course, you have some nice accent pieces like your door handles here in the chrome and the body color top and bottom. It's touch entry, so when you have the key on you here, you can lock and unlock the vehicle, and you have your running boards, and your mirrors will fold, but not with the lock and unlock of the vehicle. They will fold if you hit the switch, which is an interesting differentiation given the luxury aspect of this vehicle. Also, there are some air fins to help the air direct around the vehicle and keep it more stable at speed. And then your running boards here that are built in, color keyed, but they do, from a first impressions perspective, have some interesting problems in that my foot doesn't really fit on them, and they cut me off right about the ankles when it's at this normal ride height, not the lowered ride height that you can put the variable suspension in for accessibility. The other thing is that, well, when you get in, the running boards don't give you a lot of space for your rear passengers. Notice back, well, you have to actually unlock the car, but notice in the back, it cuts in, and you can't really see this, but we'll give you a picture. There's not a lot of foot room there when you exit from your third row passengers. But all in all, the design is nice. You have low profile luggage rack up above and everything you'd expect from a vehicle of this luxury category. The thing I also like and want to point out is that this has nice thick tires on it, these Michelins, along with the nice looking rims, but the sidewalls actually come out away from the rim, helping to protect it more like a truck, less like a sports car. And that's important for longevity of the rims and for some off-road and, well, in-town even capability with curbs. Let's take a look at the back, and then we'll go inside and under the hood. All right, so from the back with the GX 460, basically it's a light redesign. It still has the same style rear treatment pretty much. You have different taillights here with the LEDs. You still have your lip spoiler with your recessed rear wiper and of course your third brake light that you would expect. You have your rear window that will pop from this button or from the key, which is not something you find in a whole lot of SUVs anymore. But it also gives away the thing that we griped about in 2013 model year, which is this rear swing gate door. And why do we gripe about this? Well, I gripe about it because it's an older design. It's not one that many manufacturers have kept anymore. You used to see it on things like the Isuzu Trooper, and really you still see it only on vehicles like the Jeeps that are smaller, the Jeep Wranglers. But this makes it harder to load things, frankly, in certain situations, but it also is not powered. So for a $65,000 luxury vehicle, there's no way to actually get it to close itself. So you're reliant on you doing it yourself. And notice how it didn't close all the way there, and it didn't pull itself shut either. There's not even a pull closer on it for $65,000, which I find a little bit annoying, to be honest. But you do have nice features like the third row will fold itself up using these electric rear switches, either here at the back or on the front of the right passenger wheel well of the rear wheel well. You can do the folding. But notice when you put these seats up, oh, I can't even get in here with the snow. See, I can't even fit back on what's left of the package deck. And then you do have some visibility issues from the front of the vehicle once you put these rear headrests up. But the usability of getting this all folded down and up is very easy. And that's at least a point for this and not a point against it. But we'd like to see them redesign this vehicle completely in the near future. Well, it probably won't be for a couple years, but at least with a opening hatch, even a split tailgate, as long as it was all power. So that's the GX 460 from the rear. So from this perspective of a first impressions, what we really wanted to focus on was not so much the front and the interior, but was the rear passenger perspective and how you get in and out, which is really only from this side that I'm standing on, the driver's side left. You pull this lever down here on the bottom of the seat, it flips it forward and allows you to then, oh wait, I'm sorry, it's the other side, it's the passenger side. That's right. Well, that's not convenient now, is it? Because normally you would want both sides. Well, so what you would do on the passenger side is flip this forward, slide it. It would slide forward instead of just tilting, and you'd be able to get in with the floor setup that they have on the other side. The problem is, from a first impressions perspective, is it's not necessarily intuitive that you can only enter the vehicle from one side to get in the 7-seat part of it, the third row back here. So that's something that we noticed in using it. We'll talk about more in our real video, the real review. But from an interior perspective, it's well kitted out. It has leather everywhere. It has this lovely wood trim and the satin finishes and everything that you would basically expect from a luxury vehicle. It's just a question of whether the usability is there as compared to the competition. Let's take a look under the hood. We'll do our first impressions driving, and then we'll wrap up at the end. All right, so under the hood, you're gonna find the 4.6 liter V8 engine with 301 horsepower. This engine will propel the vehicle, mated to the transmission that it has, right about 0 to 60 in 7.4 seconds, or at least those are the reports that we see out and around the automotive sphere. This is a big engine for the size of the vehicle. It's not a V6, so you do have the V8 power and torque, and it'll get you 15 to 20 miles per gallon city highway, and the EPA estimates a 17 mile per gallon combined. We're seeing, given the snowy conditions we've had around Colorado and the in-town mixed driving, really more around 14 or so in the first impressions, but we'll update you on the real video, the real review. This is a large and heavy SUV with a full four-wheel drive capability. So it has four-wheel drive all the time, and then a the low transfer case that you can switch into for, well, heavy-duty situations. It also has the variable height suspension. It'll raise it up. It'll be at its normal height, which is it's at now, or it'll lower down, kind of like the Range Rover or the Land Rover LR4 or the Range Rover Sport and the Range Rover itself. This is a good vehicle with a lot of good power, and we'll talk about the driving experience coming up next, so stay tuned. All right, so hitting the road in the 2015 Lexus GX 460, this being the step under the LX massive SUV that they sell. but still one of the true four-wheel drives. Well, that's the big difference, is you have a true four-wheel drive transfer case in this with a true low range. And as you can see here, it is snowy on our roads here at Real Auto Ranch. And so as we pull out, we have no trouble getting out onto the snowy snowpack surface. And it is icy today as well, because it's been driven on quite a bit over the last day or two. And it has not dissipated yet because of the cold temperatures. So what does that mean? Well, it means that this vehicle right off the bat has a good driving sense, good road holding sense. You're going to have an adaptive suspension setup as well. So you can basically make sure that you're in a comfort mode when you have passengers, or in a middle or full sport mode when you want to be a little bit more aggressive out on the road and get less of the body roll and things like that. Now, as we come down the hill here to our stop sign, what you're going to notice is that the brakes are easily modulated, so you don't have to engage ABS even in the slippery condition. But if you do slam on the brakes, you can see that it has a good ABS system to get you stopped, although you really don't need to if you're planning ahead. From a steering perspective, the GX 460 really, from a first impressions, drives very much like the 2013 that we saw. And you can see that it has all of the safety features where I got into the throttle hard there turning to keep you safe. It will not only provide anti-skid, but also traction control capabilities. Now, the steering on this, I believe, is very much like the Toyota 4Runner. It's going to have that, or even the larger Toyota brand SUVs, it's going to have this kind of more truck-based steering like the 4Runner, so it's going to take a lot more input to turn it than you might be expecting, given that it is a luxury SUV. So it does drive more like a truck and less like a crossover, and just be aware that this is not meant to be a sporty SUV at all. It is meant to be a capable off-road and in-town 7-passenger vehicle. So from a first impressions driving perspective, it drives smooth. The suspension is okay. We noticed less wallowing in this time around than we did in 2013 in the back, but definitely in the comfort setting, you're going to notice it kind of swaying more in the back of the vehicle without passengers in it. So you may want to switch up to the middle setting in the variable suspension if that is the case. So from a first impressions driving perspective, that's what we have to say on this GX 460. Let's check out the real wrap-up coming up next. So that's the real video, the real review on this 2015 Lexus GX 460. As we've said before, it is not an all-new vehicle, but it is a nice vehicle in that it has 7-seat capability. It has a full 4-wheel drive system, including a 4-low transfer case. It's really more of a truck base than a crossover car base, so it has a lot of off-road characteristics that will be good for you if that's the type of thing you like to do on an occasional basis with this kind of luxury vehicle. And we think that at a $65,000 price tag, well, it's not for everybody, but from a luxury perspective, it's actually pretty good value for the money, given all the technology, the performance, and even the fuel economy at 15 city, 20 highway, and 17 miles per gallon combined. Lexus is, well, giving the consumers an option here in the mid-size luxury SUV segment. So go check it out and come back for our real video, the real review, right here at Real Auto Reports. I'm Jonathan McGrew, and we'll see you down the road.